Okay, so recently it seems like a VTuber, AmaLee, as you guys probably know, we talked about her quite a bit on this channel, has been getting in a little bit of backlash over a tweet that she made about a recent trend that has been going around in the VTubing space, right? And essentially what has happened is she's kind of commented on that and kind of, tried to further, I guess, like bring it along and whatever, because it is a popular topic. Saying, I love VTubers versus the IRL trend. Yes, show off your beautiful faces. All VTubers are hot. Keep posting proof. And of course, it is a common joke within the VTubing community that, every single VTuber is a 50-year-old man behind a screen and whatever. We know that, actually for a lot of the bigger VTubers out there, at least for what we see, for the ones that have showed their face, it's kind of the opposite, right? And of course, that doesn't take away from some of the, people who genuinely do probably do VTubing for a very good reason, right? But again, obviously it is a real mixed bag, right? And there's been a lot of people on Twitter lately that have been showing themselves compared to their VTubers. Now, of course, not all of them are 100% VTubers, and I wouldn't say that all of them were VTubers in general, right? They just might have a VTuber model, and I think that is definitely something that a lot of people have been bringing up. But it seems like some people have been kind of not too happy about it, right? Some people saying, I love the VTuber versus IRL trend, and obviously they got like the Israel thing here. So again, I'm not sure what they're trying to imply. But yeah, obviously they say maybe VLARPer is the proper terminology here. And what it seems like, a lot of people are getting mad at is the fact that, obviously a VTuber, their whole thing is to, show their, not show their face, right? A VTuber is someone who uses a virtual avatar. And it's been a very big thing within the kind of, I guess, culture of VTubing to not show your face, right? It's been like always a secret, and a lot of people don't show it. But it seems like with the kind of popularity of a lot of Western VTubers and stuff like that, people have started to show their faces a little bit more, right? And there's been many VTubers that have shown their face, including AmaLee, who obviously is a big voice actor as well, so we know what she looks like. And there's so many other people as well out there who also do IRL streams. I think off the top of my head, who can I think of? Like obviously Rainho, Onagiri, people like that. They all do IRL streams with them like actually in it. There's also a couple of other VTubers as well who maybe some of them have different kind of lengths that they go to. Some of them just straight up show their face and whatever. Some like wear masks. Some just hide their face but don't mind showing their body and whatever. And it seems to be a big thing that's been going on recently. But obviously some people are very what do you call it, traditional in the sense of what a VTuber is, and of course prefer the fact that they don't show their face whatsoever at all, and think that essentially they are a LARPer of a VTuber. And again, I can understand why they'd say that, because of course it has been a thing within the VTubing space for a very long time. But I don't know if I would call it a LARPer or not. I would just be like, it's a VTuber that shows their face, right? But again, maybe some people really care this deeply about it. Me personally, I don't. I just don't see it as a big deal. I just don't see it as something that to get upset over. It's just like, okay, it's whatever, right? And of course, a lot of people have been saying similar things, saying I thought the point of a VTuber is not showing their face. And obviously, yeah, this is one that's been popping off, saying they are tourists, saying imagine if a Kigurumi posted a Kigurumi pig without the mask. And yeah, that's the point. They say, I'd say people or some viewers don't like it because it breaks the fourth wall for them, which, yeah, I think is true, right? It does break the fourth wall for some people, right? And I do understand why some people don't like to see a VTuber's face. But I also think at the same time, you don't necessarily have to watch the VTubers that do show their face, right? So again, I think it's more of a case of, just watch the ones that you want to and don't watch the ones that you don't want to, right? She's not saying you must show your face, so no harm done. VTuber means virtual tuber, virtual avatar, nothing more. So the difference is people have reasons for some. It's just a creative outlet, not necessarily a protection of identity. The earlier rules on VTubing were mostly because of corpos, rules like you can't show your face, no dating, but now there's more of a surge of independent VTubers. There's really no harm of doing whatever you want and defining the VTuber term again. Which, yeah, I think that's actually a good way to kind of say, talk about it, right? I think that, yeah, of course, in terms of the corpo, VTubers, of course, a lot of the big agencies and stuff, number one rule would be not show your face, right? Because they don't want that, and that's going to be part of the rules. And I think that's what a lot of people have kind of stuck to in terms of the VTubing rules, and that's what it's really shaped I guess, VTubers and the culture in general, right? But now, as I said, there's been a big kind of, rise in independent VTubers and VTubers over in the West as well, who are a lot more comfortable and don't have those rules set in place by corpos and whatever to show, to not show their face or whatever. And they have the freedom to do that. And sometimes it can be, yeah, due to a creative outlet, right? Maybe they want to go do something with some people, but they can't really do it as VTubers as much, and they're kind of limited by what they can really do. So they sometimes do the odd kind of IRL stream where they go out and do stuff, which honestly, I think that's fine, right? I honestly don't think anybody should be getting too mad about that. And as I said, if you don't want to watch it, that's fine. You don't have to watch it. But of course, I do think it is a good way for VTubers to get out and do more, despite being limited to a VTuber model, but now they don't have to be limited, right? I think that is honestly a good thing moving forwards, right? I can't help but notice the VTubers posting their faces are in fact not hot. I mean, you could argue that if you want. So yeah, some people sharing their own comparisons, saying, "I'm sorry I had to say this. VTubers who show their faces doesn't count as VTubers anymore, and Japanese VTubers are far more superior and always better than Western VTubers." Great, thanks for that one. So people get annoyed with the half face cam tubers because it just kind of erodes the meaning of the term, and people are a little bit sick of the generic Stacy streamer coming into weave spaces for attention. And I can understand that, right? I think, sometimes it is annoying whenever a IRL streamer goes into the VTubing space and uses it as a tool to get them higher up and get them more noticed, because they're like, hey guys, I got a VTuber, and they use it like once, right? And they pretend to be a VTuber. That's 100%. I could see people call it that, like LARPing or whatever you want to call it, right? 100%. And that's happened before. We had the Pokemon one, and there's been so many other ones as well, where like an established IRL face cam streamer has used VTubing as a tool to get them some more clicks and likes and whatever, right? 100% get that. But I think if a VTuber, starting off as a VTuber, wants to kind of explore other avenues as well as still using their VTuber model, I think that's honestly not a bad thing, right? We're saying, remember back when VTubing was about contents that entertain people using an anime avatar? Funny how that's mutated into this abomination ego culture now. So yeah, obviously a lot of people saying how about no, you're encouraging VTubers to literally dox themselves and put them in a dangerous position. Now that's also something as well that people have been not so happy about. So there's been some people not happy about the integrity of VTubers and showing their faces and whatever. You can have your own opinion on that, whether you like that or not. Again, that's up to you. But there's also some people that are saying like AmaLee's encouraging people to dox themselves by showing their face, which again, I just don't think is true. I think that, if you're posting your face to the internet because someone told you to, I don't get it, right? If AmaLee told you to jump off a cliff, would you do it? No, right? I think it is literally just one of those kind of things. So if you're in a position where you don't think you're going to get doxxed by this, where it doesn't have any repercussions, and some of these people already show their faces anyways on their platforms, I really don't think it is one of these things where she's like, kind of getting them doxxed. But of course, people saying, oh yes, everyone show your faces. It's not like VTubers don't get weird stalkers and weirdos following them, which is true, right? That does happen. And I do think, maybe there is some safety concerns, but also at the end of the day, people responding to this are their own people, and they can kind of like, make up their own mind on whether this is safe to do or not, right? Say, man, VTubing is just e-girling with extra steps at this point, because that's how it's treated. The V in VTubing stands for vapid. Saying, I would advise against doing this if you care about possibly getting doxxed. Said, yeah, and again, I think it is just an advice thing. I wouldn't do it because there's a lot of people out there who are weird towards VTubers and whatever. But also at the same time, if that's something that you really want to do, then that's completely up to you as well. Saying VTubing gives you that extra layer of protection by being anonymous, and throwing that away for some stupid Twitter trend seems like a poor choice to make. Saying encouraging random people online to reveal their faces is honestly weird. Not everyone wants to risk getting recognized, harassed, or doxxed just for a trend, which I think is true, right? But also at the same time, she's not like forcing anybody. I think that's also something to kind of point out there. I think on the one hand, yes, it does present a lot of security issues for a lot of these VTubers, and maybe some VTubers are a little bit stupid and will just go and upload their face anyways for the first time. But I think a lot of the people that are responding to this trend tend to be people that already have their face shown on Twitter or whatever. And I think it is, obviously a concern for security, but also at the same time, it is up to their own kind of discretion on whether they do it or not, right? It's not really AmaLee the one that is deciding they must show their face right now, right? She also says, well, some of you are taking this too seriously. I'm not saying you must show your face. I'm only trying to express support for the creators who choose on their own volition to do so, because they're gorgeous and deserve love. For it can be scary. I said, I think we all forget that not everything on the internet is for you specifically. If you feel like this post doesn't speak to you, maybe it's not meant for you, and that's okay. And obviously, yeah, it seems like a lot of people you know, have been kind of commenting that kind of stuff too, which again, I can definitely 100% understand the security concerns. And I think there's going to be a lot of trend hopping VTubers and whatever that maybe want to like get on the trend or whatever, and maybe like do that. So again, I think that is something that maybe, you know, could be considered. But at the same time, I think that also it's up to their own discretion at the same time, you know, whether they want to do it or not. And it's kind of their fault if they do it and end up, you know, having whatever happens, you know, to them, because they are the one who decided ultimately to upload it to the internet, right? But of course, there's been some other stuff saying, I like how Westerners got involved and the word lost its meaning. Use a cute anime thing, but don't call yourself a VTuber just because you don't want to put pants on that day. And yeah, I think there is a real big kind of discrepancy between, you know, what VTuber we're talking about, right? As I said, if we're talking about a person who majority streams day in, day out as a face cam, and then maybe, you know, they don't like using face cam one day, or they don't want to get ready one day, so they use a VTuber. You know, I think, yeah, of course, I don't think they really count as a VTuber, of course, 100%. I don't think they are a VTuber, but I would say if it's a VTuber who streams as a VTuber majorly, and then maybe they do like a cool trip to somewhere, and they do like one IRL stream every now and again or whatever, I don't think there's much of an issue with that. I would still consider them to be a VTuber in that sense, but of course a lot of people have different definitions on what they would consider a VTuber, right? And some people believe that it's got to be this like 100% you know, no face whatsoever, and I think that is, you know, fair enough, going off of the reason of the kind of like, you know, old agency kind of corpo you know, terms and rules or whatever you want to call it. But obviously as well, you know, VTubing is changing, whether you like it or not. VTubing is changing, so there's going to be a lot more conversations like this that happen in the future, in the sense that, you know, some people are going to take it even further, right? And people are going to get even angry at that, or some people are going to like that, right? And of course, it's going to be a huge mixed bag. But as I said, it's inevitable. It's probably going to change, but we'll have to wait and see what kind of happens, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, I do think that, you know, VTubing should be majorly kept to, you know, just VTubing, right? But I think also, you know, it's not a bad thing to kind of experiment with that. Maybe the label of a VTuber doesn't fit anymore, but I do think the entertaining content that they create from showing their face and doing IRL content can be, you know, much more entertaining than maybe they could have previously done, right? If that means they're not a VTuber anymore, then so be it. But, you know, they still make entertaining content, which I think, you know, is cool, right? At the end of the day. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kaza, get 10% off again. They got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.